So good morning. Welcome again to our session today. Step Up Talks. We are here to just share our thoughts on some of the challenges that our youth face. And today we are going to discuss confusion. Is confusion good? Is confusion good? Is confusion bad? I'm already getting confused. So basically what you are saying is the state of mind. Is it actually a good thing or is it a bad thing? We are going to explore what are some of the signs that make you know that you are in a state of confusion. What are some of the triggers? And knowing all that, what are some of the strategies that we can bring into play to be able to to be able to deal with the state of confusion? And with me today, I have 3 guests who are going to introduce themselves. I'll start with you, Peter. Tell us what your name is and what you do on a day-to-day basis. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Peter Kitei. I am a teacher by profession and also by passion. I'm glad to be here and to be able to share my thoughts concerning this topic of confusion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. Collins?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Collins, a teacher by passion and profession, and happy to be here today to talk about this very interesting topic, confusion. But I hope by the end of the topic, we will move from confusion to conclusion. Asante sana.
Thank you. Collins, you always bring in those punches. Thank you. And then Joy, our youth panelist, Karibu sana, you can introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Joy Manje, a final year student at the Kenyatta University, taking foods, nutrition, and dietetics. And I'm happy to be part of this wonderful team today.
Thank you so much. So we'll start off. We need to put this in context. And Peter, I'll come to you. What is confusion? And you can just share with us in terms of what does the definition from a dictionary perspective, and also now the definition from your own insights. What is confusion? Because it's good for us to understand what it is to know how to deal with it.
Thank you very much. From the dictionary perspective, the dictionary states confusion as a state in which one does not know what to believe or what they should do. It could be synonymous to puzzlement, bewilderment, perplexity, or bafflement. Another definition would be when things or something is not clear about what the true situation is, especially because people believe in different things. Perhaps from my own perspective, I would say that confusion is a state in which one is unable to make the right decision concerning the direction in which they may go in various contexts of their life. Basically, that is what I would say.
Thank you so much. Joy, from a youth perspective, what would you define confusion to be?
I would define confusion as not having clarity about a certain matter. You know, we take very many steps in life, but at times you never know. There is the where, the who, the when, the what. So not having clarity about a matter and just trying to gauge what works and what doesn't work. So it's literally something we face day to day while making very many decisions as youths, trying to just get the foundation of life and just get a basis of what we want to stand for and what we want to do in life. So yeah, just the state of trying to figure out what is what. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. Collins, you want to weigh in on this definition, or it has all been covered?
Actually, they've brought it up very, very clearly, and I can feel myself moving towards conclusion now.
Okay, you will have to hold your horses a bit. Now, the next thing I would like us to explore is confusion actually a good thing or is it a bad thing? And as we look at that, probably what I would, as you answer whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, then just share with us, how would I know whether it's a good thing or it's a bad thing? Peter, I can see you are raring to go. We'll start with you.
I would basically say that confusion could both be a bad thing or could be a good thing. I would say that it might be a bad thing because uh, when one is in a state of confusion, then they're in a state of indecision. They're not able to make decisions fast enough. And some of these decisions are very crucial in their life. So if one is not able to make these decisions fast enough, early enough, then you will find out that they might miss out on some opportunity in their lives. It might also be a good thing because through the state of confusion, one is able to make out or is able to think through their life, kind of reevaluate their life, and be able to make the right decision. Because when I look at confusion, I'm thinking is a state of being at standstill. Now, when you're at a standstill, then it gives you an opportunity to check around you, to check what is happening around you, to reevaluate your past, to think about the future. And so this is a point where one can take an advantage or can take the advantage of getting to put their lives into context and also be able to make now the right decisions concerning where they would want to go. Thank you.
Yes, I'd
Your
say.
mic is yes.
Sorry, Joy. Thank you. You read my lips. You can go on.
Yeah. um, it's okay. Don't worry. I'd say it's also a good and a bad thing because states of confusion helps you evaluate yourself, where you are at, and what you stand for. You know, if you're going on a path that was maybe not meant for you, and you got to a hitchy place where confusion came about, you start thinking, by the way, where was I going, and how did I get here? And this is not what I do. You know, so it really helps you grow. It helps you grow. It helps you know what are your values, what are your principles in life. So it helps you set things in place. Well, it's also bad because it brings a state of stagnation, like you're not doing anything, you're not progressing. So it's good to make sure you don't make as many decisions as you can when you're in a confused state until you get clarity, because some of those decisions we run to make when we are confused, we end up thinking, oh my gosh, this is really not me. And you know, as youths, we want to venture and go everywhere and do everything. So at times it's good to be still and just get to know what is really in your mind, what do you think and what exactly do you feel about this. So I think it's really nice, like it just helps you from one step to another. It's good to try and see these things and know what works for you. Yes, thank you.
Wow, thank you. Collins, your thoughts, is it a good thing, is it a bad thing?
Thank you. Now, I'll start by saying all medicine in the world are poisonous, and all poisons in the world are medicine. So everything that is bad has a good part, and everything that is the opposite has the opposite. So confusion is both good and bad, but it depends on how it is used. Now, in education, if confusion is regulated and properly used, then we are going to have learners learning a lot. I want us to think of our brains as a muscle. The moment you go to the gym and work out that muscle, it increases in size. So the moment we use our brains, or we make our students use our brains, it makes their mind and their brains to grow. They'll be able to think harder and better. And this is what confusion will do. Um, it will make them see uh, the pattern in chaos. In chemistry, we talk about entropy, the randomness in a system. But in that randomness, there is still reactions taking place, and that reaction will have a given pattern in all the randomness that you're going to see. So the moment you introduce confusion in a class, the students will be forced to think, working out that muscle, which will improve, and they'll be able to come out into the outside world and move on their own and be very, very independent. Now, curriculums and education systems such that we should break down concepts into smaller parts where students can take in. That is very good. I don't dispute that, because as a teacher, I also do that sometimes. But when you do that to that student, when they come outside from the university, from high school, world give them the concepts in small bits for them to break it down? Or will the world break it down for them so that they can be able to follow up? No. They'll be given in lump sums. So the one who was not used to facing confusion and working out through the confusion will now have a problem. The one who was bombarded with confusion, which was regulated, will be able to go through life without struggling. So it is a good thing when properly used. As Mr. Peter and Joyce said, if if a decision has to be made and you're in that state of confusion, then at that point, that confusion is not a good thing for you. You'll have to be calm. And I don't know if it was Joy or Peter who brought out the fact that you need to be one with yourself. And kwa lugha ya mtaani unajiita kama mbogi, unajiita kama group, and you discuss hiyo mkutano yako, say the bad Collins, the medium Collins, hapa ni kama tumechanganyana, so what should we do? So good and bad. Back to you, Anne.
Okay, thank you. I'm laughing because as you are saying to call yourself to a meeting, I just remembered Tom and Jerry, the evil and the angel. So, so it's good for us to call ourselves into a meeting. Now, we have explored the issue of confusion being a good or a bad thing, and it depends on how we take it. But now, how am I able to see whether it's a good thing or a bad thing? Probably you can just share with us, how will I know if I'm confused? Because I need to know whether I'm confused or not to be able to know whether it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. Joy, what are your thoughts on that? Is how am I able to tell whether I'm in a state of confusion or not? Is it even possible to tell?
That's a very good question. I'd say number one, in how to know if one is confused or not, is basically how they carry out themselves. There are people you'd see would want to try out everything. They'd want to try out this, would want to try that, and you ask them, how far did you go with this previous idea? So at times they are just willing to do everything, but maybe not in a state to carry it through into conclusion, to be able to get the fruit of maybe what they want to try, or even just how they carry out things in the house, or how they do the things they do. You're like, this person is really not sure on what they stand for. At times, even you can ask someone, what will you have? You can go to a hotel and ask, what you do have for maybe lunch or dinner? And just the bad person can't just decide. I mean, it's not even something to laugh about. Literally, they can't just settle on what something is. So you see, this thing has started out as something small, but it's really affecting how they make their decisions in life. And another way you can know if someone is confused is just a certain negativity, even in their language. This one doesn't work, that won't take you anywhere, you're like, you guy, when nothing works in life. So especially as the youth, there are people who are just there to burst all your bubbles about everything and just tell you, no, you won't go anywhere, it won't work, don't try it. And I think the long-term effect on knowing is that someone is in confusion is there's no progress. I left you there, I left you doing that, it's been 3 months, it's been 5 months, you're still there. So even as much as you're yapping to maybe tell someone this doesn't work, this works, you've not done anything about it. And maybe you don't even know, you we're ready to look at everyone else's mistake, but you can't tell. You're still where you are. I mean, you're still complaining about the same thing even months after. So the language and how they do things, there is simply no progress. Then you can tell that person is confused. Thank you.
Wow, wow. Thank you, thank you. Uh, Peter, what do you think? How is somebody supposed to tell whether they are confused or not?
I think I'll pick it up from teachers' points of view by looking at it from the point of view of the presentation. How does a person present themselves when it comes to, for example, even dressing? There is just lack of seriousness or minor details. They're not able to put them in place. If I look at, for example, their presentation also in the classroom, how do they present themselves? How do they present their homework? How are they, do they, are they, do they do their homework in time? Because those are small things. It means that when they're not even able to do their homework in time, it means that they did not even have a schedule to be able to do that work. So that could be an indicator of confusion. Now, I would add by saying that to be able to notice these small bits of confusion, one has to be very close to the person so that they're able to highlight them. For a parent, if they walk into the room of their teenager son or daughter, what do they see? Are the things that would easily come up for somebody who's confused would be the fact that you might not find there is order in that room. So these are just the small things that could show that somebody is confused. And also maybe just to add on to what Joy has talked about, decision making. How are they able to make decisions, or it is difficult to make the decisions? And you will find out that they might spend quite a lot of time to make a decision. And in most cases, you'll find out that they'll be very negative in most of the things, as Joy says, because they are not even ready to commit themselves to a particular path. So that any choice that comes on their way, they will more or less look at it from a negative perspective rather than a positive perspective. So that would basically be my take on those kind of indicators to confusion.
Okay, and Peter, there's something that you brought out that I think as parents we need to step up our game a bit and probably play a stronger role in the lives of our children. The indicator, when I walk into my daughter's room, what I see, it should actually communicate something to me as a parent, and I should be able to interrogate what that means and take the time and talk to that particular child. So I hope as we are listening in, even as parents, there are some pointers that we need to look at and see what we can do. And similarly, as Joy said, depending with your group, the circle of friends that you have, are there results? Are you making progress or not? Then you need to question and see if you're having the right friends or not. Are they having impact on your life, or they're creating more confusion in your life? Now, Collins, what is your take on how somebody is able to figure out whether they are in a state of confusion or they're okay?
Thank you. I think just to add on what Peter and Joy have already said, lack of progress, they've talked about cannot make decisions as fast as they should, not paying attention to details. I think I'll add on to it overthinking. Now, when we look at a classroom setup, you give your students a sum or a question, and they look at a very simple thing and overthink it, and even use methods that are not supposed to be used for that particular one. That is a sign of confusion. That is in the class setup. But we should also be careful, because the normal confusion, the simple confusion that we all face from time to time, we can realize as individuals that we are confused. But now, when you move to the other side, the medical condition that causes confusion, or the medical confusion, it's a bit different, and a person can be confused and they're in their own world. To them, it is you who is confused. They might be wearing things which are not appropriate. They might be doing things which are not appropriate, but in their world, that is very, very correct. And whatever you are doing is the other way around for them. Um, and this is actually a process known as depersonalization or de-realization, a process where the mind blocks out stress during a difficult period, a difficult time, and pushes a person into a different kind of reality, which is not the one that we are in. So if we look at the normal confusion, that one can be worked on very easily, but we should be careful also to look at the other side of confusion, the medical side. Back to you, Anne.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate the aspect that you've introduced, the extreme part that might require medical attention. And that is something we will discuss next week, just looking at confusion from a medical context and bringing a doctor to share more information so that we look out for those triggers, we look out for those signs that could border on medical conditions as opposed to normal confusion. Thank you. Now, moving on, what could be some of the triggers of this state of mind? What could be the causes? What could happen that would make somebody get into such a state? Probably, Peter, we can start with you.
I think there are many sources of confusion. I think when you talk about confusion among the adolescents or the teenagers, one of the things that comes out first is the fact that there are so many choices to make. There are so many choices to make concerning one thing or another. And to make this more complex is the fact that with these choices, there is very little information about the consequence of each choice. So a teenager is at a place whereby they have to make a decision concerning something, but then they do not have adequate information about what the choice they make would lead to. Another thing I would say is that they find themselves. I will take the example of the Kenyan context. The teenagers find themselves at a place whereby they have this freedom. I think teenage would actually coincide with a place whereby you find this young person on their own joining high school, out of the care of their parents, and they have decisions to make. This time round, they have to make those decisions themselves. They are coming from a place whereby decisions have always been made for them by those around them. But then here they are at a place whereby they have to make their own decisions. So you will find out that this could be a state of confusion, could bring a state of confusion. Now, another reason or another source of confusion would be the changes that are taking place in their bodies because of the process of growth. You find out that there are a lot of hormonal changes in their bodies that are bringing about changes within their bodies, both in the boy and the girl. And so these changes could be actually confusing for them because they are experiencing them for the first time and they may not know what to do about these changes that are taking place within their bodies.
Okay, thank you so much, Peter. Joy, I can see you want to share your thoughts on that. What could be some of the triggers? Especially not in a bad way. I think you're on the borderline from moving from that stage to getting into a more state of
I
clarity.
completely relate. I completely relate. Yeah. Let me start where I am at. It's the transition stage, from one level to another. Now, I've been feeling like I've been, in a system, the 844 system. You went to kindergarten, to primary, to high school, and now finishing campus. And you felt quite enclosed, under rules and everything. And now you are outside there to the world, where do I start? What do I do? There are so many people you see they have done the finished campus and done things that are very different from what they have done. That stage really is really trying, because you need to know what works, what company works best, what hospitals do this and this, where should I go, what should I do first. So um, that is a very big cause of confusion that normally needs a lot of mentorship, a lot of mentors to just come and help redirect your thoughts and your passion towards what you exactly want, because so many people in campus don't necessarily do what they love. So at times you find they're already wanting to try out other things. So I wouldn't condemn such a person. It really happens, you just called to a campus and you just go do what you called to do. But now it's just someone to help redirect their thoughts and their passion, what you feel you really want to do, which can help them and give them a good grounding and basis. Another thing I'd say is the group mentality. There's this group mentality where everyone thinks this is what should be done. People make decisions for you because this is what works best. This is what trends. That happens a lot in high school and in the campuses as well. So being able to know who you are and who the group is, and what role does this group have in my life, and what should I be me, So that group mentality, even in terms of career, even in terms of I was given an example of being a nutritionist. So many mothers, so many women outside there always have tips which work. They tell you take this and avoid this, and it has worked and people have lived long and everything. But now, us being students who have taken nutrition and dietetics, what is the difference? What shows that I have literally sat down for lectures and practicals, and I know this for a fact. So that idea of just a clarity and a redirection that needs to just help someone know this is what you stand for, this doesn't work, this is just an imagination, this is what people say. So that whole aspect. And I think my last thing would even be this pandemic. This has really been a cause of confusion because life just went on standstill. Wow. And everyone is just hanging somewhere. So the aspect of helping someone see, what, this has happened to everyone, and it's not the end of life. You can do something about it. Like personally, I began a nutrition course on UNICEF. It's online, so at least it has kept me busy. I've been doing a lot of studies and the examinations and certificates as well. So at least for the mentorship I got, that's the direction that I have been working on even in this period. So everyone just helping someone find a basis and find something to do even in this period. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. And just listening to you, the aspect of self-awareness comes out very strongly. Because if you really do not know who you are, you really do not know what you stand for, the values that you subscribe to, then it's very easy once you get this freedom when you get to campus. Because I remember the same feeling. Here you are in campus. The first day you're expecting the bell will ring.
Yeah.
There's no bell. Then you're expecting, if you don't go to class, somebody will say, "Why aren't you in class?" Nobody cares.
No one
And
cares.
you realize the freedom that you have, totally confusing. So I really appreciate the aspect of just knowing who you are to be able to give you a solid foundation as we start exploring the freedom that comes with us growing up. Now, coming to you, Collins, what are your thoughts in terms? Sorry, before I come to you, Collins, there's something that I also need Joy to weigh in, the issue of social media, because youth are so much on social media. And one of the things that Peter spoke about is probably having too much information or too many choices, creating confusion. And we know that our youth nowadays, they're ever on their gadgets. What is your take on that? Being one of
I
them.
think
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the main thing that has worked for us, because there's so much information, even in the class WhatsApp groups, there's so much being sent that are nutrition related or just life related. People are telling you, do this, get quick money, join this business. People are traveling due to where to do what. So I think number one, as we've said, knowing what you stand for, your principles, so that if anything causes you to go beyond what you do and what you stand for, then that's just a no-no. Number two, just trying to find out the integrity of this information, even if it leads you to get, a third party to help you get clarity. If it is nutrition related, you can contact one of the lecturers. Our lecturers are very friendly and very available. Just getting them to help you get a direction. What is this? We hear this. WHO has said this, just getting a clarity of information. If it is on other matters, just trying to get someone who's an expert in something to verify before taking a step to do anything, because such things cost us a lot. The excitement of what you've had, oh, this is coming up, and you want to join in, oh, you send 3K everyone to do this. Social media, they're trying this out, and I think just being able to verify and just to know, is this what I want to do? How long do I do this? Where will it take me? Would I want to be heard that I'm associating myself with this? It's not something you're doing underground. Integrity is doing the right thing even if no one is seeing
Is
you, because
watching.
that's you. Exactly. So
Wow.
just knowing yourself, that just works for you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Collins, what's your take?
I like the way Joy has brought it out. Actually, the second part where she was talking about integrity and how the social media is affecting the youth. And this reminded me of Panda Mbegu 310. I don't know if you guys remember. And I feel like that was also a state of confusion for that individual group of people who were caught in that. Now, the causes of confusion are so many. Too much information, too many choices. But as a teacher, let me move closer to the classroom. And sometimes when students are learning a concept that they cannot grasp, and then they start getting frustrated, they might end up confused, not because they don't understand it, but simply the fact that they've been frustrated distorts their thinking. This reminds me of a time when I was introducing the mole concept in chemistry, and my students had gotten that this topic was more fire. The only person who was supposed to understand mole concept in the class was the teacher and any other teacher in the school. So I got to class, and as I'm starting, moles is A, B, C, D. But because of the fear they had and the frustration they knew they would go through, they were frustrated and they got confused in the process. So it took me a while. Actually, I had to stop my lesson halfway just to have a chat with them, to understand that this thing is not the lion they thought. This is just an anthill that they need to just keep and go and do other greater things in chemistry. So that frustration there gave us a problem. Another thing is anxiety disorder. When a person is anxious throughout. So the paradox of life is that anxiety can cause confusion and confusion can cause anxiety. So when a person is anxious and they are not able to make any decision because of their state, they become confused. Or they might be confused, and because of that confusion, they become anxious. And this is where parents need to be very, very careful, because sometimes you might, as a parent, give your child a lot of pressure. You exert a lot of pressure, performance, societal pressure, to a point that they become anxious. And when they become anxious, they will not be able to go through. They are going to be confused in the middle. And this will lead to things like rebellion, indecision, and so on, the bad things that we don't really want. Lastly, Transition, which was mentioned by Joy and Peter, are actually true. And if we pull transition back to teenagehood, at that time when they have a lot of hormones running through them, there are two things that might happen, depending on where the student or the child is. The child might go through confusion and come out with a very nice identity, or the child might go through confusion and without the right support, they might come out being confused, having what we call role confusion, live in oblivion and trying to associate with others instead of having their own stand. Thank you. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you so much. And there's something that I would like you to weigh in a bit. Oh, sorry, just a sec. The issue of identity versus role confusion. Sorry about the interruption.
It's okay. It's okay. So, identity versus role confusion. We know that between ages of 12 to around 18, 20 there, these are the break or make moments for our youth. This is a time they're highly trying out new things. There's something that Joyce said, someone would go to campus and they realize that they're doing a course that they don't really want, and they want to try out new things. This is the time when most of the youth are going to dye their hair, they're going to put on clothes that their parents do not approve, they're going to try everything that is actually against what the parents have been telling them. That means they're budding away from the parents. They're trying to get their own footing in this world. Remember, that is the point of transition from being a child into an adulthood. It is hapo katikati. So at this point in life, if the teens are able to have what we call guided freedom, where they're given bits of responsibility to confuse them so that from that little or small confusion, they can be able to move to the next stage and understand, I was confused, but now I've understood this. The next one comes in and they're able to work through until they get to adulthood. This kind of this type of guided freedom are the examples that I had Joy give when she said she was given a chance to go to a school, a high school that is far away from her home, which was about 8 hours from Nairobi. So that means that you are alone and you're given certain responsibilities. So in that way, the child will grow knowing that if I mess up this, I'm going to get this. If the child is not given that opportunity, they're going to go through life having been caged. And at the end of it all, they're going to end up with what we call role confusion. They're going to get that freedom once, maybe at the age of 25, 30, 40, and then you see what someone is doing, and you hear people saying, this one is facing midlife crisis. But if you are to go deeper and look at it, you'll find that that role confusion is getting the best of that person. Back to you, Anne.
So much. And just listening to you, one of the things that comes into mind as a parent is the guided freedom you've talked about. Like in the house, one of the things that especially the teenagers, they're trying to explore themselves. What freedoms am I giving this child? Like probably they want a sleepover. I know many parents have issues with sleepovers, but is sleepover really a bad thing? Can I, as a parent, take time to actually do some background research on where my child needs to go for a sleepover? So that there's that guided. Can I talk to the parent from the other side We agree on what will be the rules of engagement. Then I can allow my child, because in doing that, then I'm actually telling them, I trust you to make the right decisions. And just going back to what Joy had talked about, the foundation, the values, then I know when I allow my child to go for that sleepover, I know she has made the right decision in terms of the kind of friends she's engaging with. I have done my background check, so I know the parent on the other side is actually going to be as responsible as I would be if those kids came over. So I really love the concept of guided freedom, because that helps the kids explore themselves outside the confines of the parental wings. You know, like the kuku vile inanini watoto wake. So I love it, and I think as parents we need to let go of our children in a guided manner, so that we have them make the silly mistakes at the right time, and we're in the picture to actually correct. But as we do that, we are actually strengthening their character. So when they go out there in the world and they're on their own, they will make the right decisions. So thanks a lot for bringing that term, guided freedom. I'm in love with it. So as we come towards the end of our session, there's now the issue. We've explored what confusion is. We've explored how somebody would know whether they are confused or not. We've explored some of the triggers of confusion. Now, how can one overcome this confusion? How can one navigate the state of confusion and to come out better? Because we said it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. So assuming that I'm in this confused state and I want to come out better, what are some of the things that I can do to be able to navigate those waters? I'm confused between Peter and Joy. You both seem to be ready to go. Who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, Sarah, Peter.
Now, thank you. Now, I think part of what I would say would be a way in which young people can deal with the state of being confused. I think a major part of the obligations or responsibility rests with the parents. Now, the parents are responsible for forming relations with their children. That means that they have to be present, they have to be close to their children, so that they create an enabling environment for their children to be able to confide in them concerning the things that are happening to them. So this is actually a challenge to the parents, to be close to their children, so that they form that bond, so that children can trust them to be able to confide in them. Now, the society is also supposed to be part of the solution to this. The society is supposed to create some kind of a role model. I am afraid that as much right now we know that the society does not provide this. How does this happen? Because whenever we look around, we don't have very good examples for the young people to follow. And so as a young person, it is important for them to be able to confide in those people who've been there, getting advice from the right people. I'm working from the assumption that this is a young person who has great relations with their parents. So they'll be able to confide in them what is taking place. Joy mentioned the fact that talking to mentors, people around them who they trust, people around them who have achieved various things in their lives. So this gives the young person the confidence to know that the person that I am talking to has been there and has been able to navigate through these waters or through this stage in life. And so one of the things I would say is that the young people have to find a way of talking to people, people they trust in their environment, people they trust in their surrounding, to be able to help them navigate through this, because it's a common occurrence, it happens to everyone. But talking to the person who has been through gives you an advantage, because they are able to share with you the experience they've gone through, so that you yourself are not able to make the same mistakes, because they've gone forth before you and they are able to see, somebody put it that way, that able to see ahead or far much ahead. They give this example of saying that an old person is able to see far much ahead, where a young person, even if they climbed on a tree, they might not be able to see. So talking to people whom they trust could be one of the ways in which the young people are able to sort out or navigate their way through the confusion that happens in their lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And probably just an addition is, and as the youth are talking to us, even as parents, we need to have an open mind. Because again, if we receive whatever they are talking to us with an attitude or with negativity or with formed mindsets, then we tend to push the kids away. So as parents, let's be open-minded, expect the crazy things that are happening, because we are dealing with a totally different generation. So let's be very open-minded and provide the guidance that is needed. Thank you, Peter, for that. Joy, I'll come to you. What are your thoughts? What are some of the strategies that we can employ to be able to overcome or to navigate the state of confusion?
Okay, thank you again. Some of them we've mentioned, like knowing who you are and the mentorship programs, and avoiding to make many decisions at that stage until you have clarity of where you're going and what the consequences of each and every action you take. And even to add on what Colleen said about that, parents having confidence even in their children, I think that plays a very big role. If parents are, free with their children, are able to talk to them, are able to listen to them, and communicate with them. Yeah, I know of a story of a certain lady who, a close friend of ours, who has a son who was in high school, no, was in primary school by that time. And this boy in school went to school and saw this pretty girl and came and told mom, me, I've seen this girl and I think she's very pretty. So the mom was like, oh, how is she? Then he describes and everything. And the mom just listens. And he's like, oh, okay, fine. Then kumbe, the incoming week was the girl's birthday. So the boy comes and tells mom, it's this lady's birthday and I think I want to buy her a gift. So the mom went to the shop and bought a card and bought, I think, some earrings or something, some jewelry, and packed it very well and told him to write the cards. And he wrote the card and he took it to her, the girl in school, and gave it to her. And then after some time now, the mother would just listen in because now the boy saw there's a connection. My mom isn't judging me because of this. She's even with me. And then after some time, the boy just one day told the mom, me think this is just hard work. Liking someone, getting someone to notice you, trying to be extra. So the boy just told the mom, me, I'm done. I think this is just for some other time. I can't hack right now. And the mom was like, it's fine. Whenever you feel ready, whenever you like someone, there was already that platform created. So if we all understand and just flow and grow with them, come back to that state and grow. And how is it like? And just like don't have that fear of experimenting outside there and telling yourself, I have to do this outside there. I have to go all out of my way. So I think parents, and teachers and whoever people are there, any opportunity you get, I personally take that initiative. Anytime I have, even if our neighbor's children come over, I just get 5 minutes to tell them, what do you want to be? What do you want to become? Do you know you can be the best? Just break some mindsets that were put there because I wouldn't want that to happen even to my own future children. So you just tell them who they are and you're able to do that. Break some generational, mindsets that, no, my father didn't go this. So you tell them, no, that was him. And you also have an opportunity to be the best you can. And finally, I'd say, even those in campus, we've been having some follow-up alumni groups that when you finish school, they're able to just mentor you. So that also avoids confusion. For like the next 5-10 years, you're still in contact with your lecturers and a group of people. It's like an association. So in case of any feedback, in case of any direction in terms of your career, there is that platform that helps you bring out any questions and just get clarity on certain matters even as you venture out. So that has really also helped us to just give us the confidence of getting to go to other opportunities. Our lecturers also send us opportunities to go this. I've been sent for this, but I have capable students. Just go do this, go do that. So that has indeed also helped us to avoid this state of confusion. Thank you.
Wow, thanks. I love your passion and energy. Thank you so much. Collins, in terms of overcoming confusion, what's your take?
Thank you very much. I love the story that Joy gave us. It's actually very interesting, and I really wish parents out there would try that. It works wonders. Now, start by giving an example first of all, then and it's school related. Now, there was this one time during a weekend in school. I was on duty, and we had also, I think it was a UEFA League thing, Liverpool versus another team. And actually, I'm saying Liverpool and another team because I support Liverpool. So I only know two teams in the league. I know Liverpool and others. So during this very, very fateful weekend, my students came to me and asked me, Teacher, we really want to watch this match. But the problem is the match coincides with the time for personal study preps in the evening. So I had two options: to use my authority and tell them no in capital, the way we teachers are taught to do it, NO, and actually take a red whiteboard and go and write no on the board so that it sticks. Or the other option was to find a flexible way where they can be able to attain their time for study and still get time for the football match. So I gave my students an opportunity, and I told them, go look for a working formula, come and bring it to me within a certain period. If the formula is okay and everyone adheres to it, then we are good to go. I gave them about 2 hours. They went round. 15 minutes later, they are back. They said, Teacher, we've looked for a formula. This is the best that we can have. Since the match is starting at 6:30 p.m., we are going to be in class from 4 to 5, 4 to 6. That is 2 hours, because they were supposed to be in class from 7 all the way to 9. So 4 to 6, then after that we come and watch the game and go and sleep. So as a teacher, I accepted that because, one, they've done their time for studying. It is a decision that they made themselves, and they adhered to each and everything that they decided to do. So in that way, they had the freedom to do it within the confines of the school rules and regulations. Such a student will feel respected, and in case the teacher is not within, they will always know that I don't have to jump on top of tables or do what. I just have to be myself and continue. Now, in the case that I said no and they were supposed to go to class, what would happen? These students would feel like they are not respected, or their views are not valued. And anytime they get a chance of doing any wrong thing, they would jump at that opportunity. And you see, when we say lack of clarity is confusion, that moment when the student is going to that wrong thing is a state of confusion, because they're supposed to the right thing. So how we handle the students really matter. For students, for teachers, for people outside there, if you want to avoid confusion, one is planning. And the cliche is lack of planning is planning to fail. We can rearrange that and say lack of planning is planning to be confused. And the moment you exercise, your mind becomes clear. You can be able to think better. And that time now, you can be able to avert confusion or deal with it better. Lastly, the company that you keep will determine a lot. Peer pressure will either push you to confusion or it will save you from confusion. That is very, very key for all generations, be it the younger generation or the older generation. So we have to be really careful with the company. Lastly, be calm. Be calm in everything you do. The moment you're calm, you're able to think clearly, you're able to act rationally and avert any type of confusion that may come along or deal better with any confusion that may arise in the process. Thank you, and back to you, Anne.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost Joy. I hope she will join us for closing. But probably just to add to what you have said, the issue, some of the strategies that I think about in terms of overcoming confusion, just taking time to reflect upon what you do. Like you talked about planning. I know this is what I'm supposed to be achieving. And one of the things Joy mentioned was when you find you are stagnating, then it could be an indicator of a state of confusion. So if I want to overcome that, then I need to sit down and say, by this time in my life, I needed to have achieved ABCD. As a student, probably I need to be maintaining a certain grade. As somebody in campus, probably I need to be sending out CVs. I need to be thinking of ideas of setting up businesses. Am I doing that? Am I on track? So when I take time to reflect, then I will be able to start dealing with any indicators that are holding me back. And for me to be able to reflect properly, then it means I need to create a habit of journaling. And journaling basically is writing my thoughts on a day-to-day basis, how I feel today regarding maybe general things, how I feel about life. Karibu Joy.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, so if we can create a habit of journaling, just writing the things that go on in our mind, when I start reading my journal, then chances are I will start seeing some patterns. Just as Colin said, you will notice a pattern, and when I notice that pattern, then I'm able to deal with it. So my addition to overcoming that would be, let's journal, take time and reflect. Gauge, this is where I want to be. Am I actually there or not? Then take corrective measures for that. So as we wind up, Peter, you can just share a parting shot. Having gone through this almost 1 hour of discussion, what would be your parting shot to our youth and probably the parents?
Just to add on to something else that you have mentioned, I think prayer is also a very important aspect, because as a human being, we have the mental aspect, we have the emotional aspect, we have the physical aspect, we also have the spiritual aspect, and this plays a very important role in our well-being. And so, as a young person who has gotten into crossroads, it's also important to tap into the power of prayer. I say this because having the foresight or the thought in mind is that, like, every manufacturer, when they manufacture a particular product, they have what we call a manual. Now, we know that we have also been created and manufactured by somebody, or a greater being. So it is important for us to tap into the manual of he who created us, for him to be able to give us guidance. And so when you're talking about prayer, we're talking about taking time to communicate your feelings to God, because he listens, he understands what we are going through. And there are some challenges we will go through, and we might not even understand how we went through it, but through the power of prayer. And so putting everything in context, whatever Collins has talked about, being able to plan, being able to journal, being able to talk to people, and over and above everything, prayer, then we create a whole big picture. I know we live in a particular kind of environment whereby people just believe that you have just to pray, but then not do your part. No, you have to do your part, but you also have to do your part, put in your best, but also pray about it, so that in everything you're doing your all to be able to achieve some kind of closure or some kind of ability to be able to make decisions that will help you navigate through this confusion that you may be going through. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. Joy, what is your parting shot? What do you want to tell your fellow youth?
So what I'd say, thank you for mentioning, prayer, and because even in the aspect of foundations, I wanted to actually say earlier that those people of the faith, the Bible is the best manual. I think that is what has kept me steady, even in the midst of all these times and just telling yourself everything is working for good. So I think that is just where you even get your confidence in doing what you do, because I normally tell my other colleagues when I was working at Mbagathi, I was telling them, despite even us having the skill, which we all have, we have the anointing of the Lord. So if the skill doesn't work to maybe treat someone or what, you pray and you tell God, you know what, this person has to get well. Every patient you hold has to get well. So having that confidence in the Creator that is enabling me to be the best of whom He's enabling me to be every day. So that just helps us being steady with our work with God, so that He directs us in what we do. And also just loving what you do, finding to know this direction is what you want and going for it. Go for what you want to be. Don't hesitate because of any limitations. There is nothing any one of us cannot do. Being the best of what you do and just seeking advice, working with people, having mentors, any spiritual guidance you need, you have all those leaders to help us. So making sure you're holding the hand of someone, and as even Collins has said, plan. What do I want to do? Where am I seeing myself? If this doesn't happen, what else would work for me? So that there is no state that there is a vacuum. If I don't start school, maybe I can do an internship somewhere and do this as I do some counseling somewhere. So getting yourself to do something to avoid just being there, because once you see other people progressing and you're just there, you start feeling, hey, no, me, Kweni, I can't do this, I can't do that. No, get doing something. Don't just stay there. Do something. Try out a new thing in your skill. Adapt some other skills that you can, and make yourself very useful in even your hobbies, and make new things. I mean, just read new things. So listen to talks, listen to conversations, build yourself. We need to build ourselves even as the youths, for us to venture and go meet the real life and just venture into the working world. Read and just get steady. If you're steady, then you won't be shaken. If you know what you are, but if you're always just there, not having clarity about much, then so many things will just overwhelm you so fast. So just getting steady. That's what would work. That's what would avoid confusion, even for us as the youth. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we've lost Collins. I hope he'll log back in before we go off air. And just to echo what you have said as I give my closing remarks, the aspect of volunteerism, I think, is a very powerful tool that many of our youth have not tapped into. Because you'll find somebody seated at home, they're like, they don't know what to do. They are looking for opportunities, and you're like, can you give your services for free? Because you will learn a lot as you're giving the services for free, so long as you have a goal of what you want to achieve. Go be the best that you can. I normally tell my daughter, because part of the responsibilities I give her is cleaning the house. And I tell her, do the best. I know it's not what you intend to do in life, but if you show that you can actually clean the room to the best of your ability, then you create a habit of being the best in whatever that you do. So when somebody gives you a task to do, you'll actually do the best that you can. So if we pick up the spirit of volunteerism, we pick up the aspect of reading, because there is so much information, yes. But if we sieve that and we are picking what is relevant for us, what adds value to us, then as you've said, we actually build who we are. And tying that to knowing thyself, know who you are, know what makes you tick, know what are your strengths, know what you believe in, what you stand for, then you'll not be easily shaken. And of course, seeking guidance. Where I'm not so sure, then let me have some elders that I can go to. It could be my parent, it could be an extended family member, it could be a church member, it could be somebody in the community, but have somewhere that you can always seek for guidance or clarity. And for us parents, let us provide that necessary guidance. When your child or a neighbor's child, which doesn't happen much, but in case they do come to you, provide guidance with an open mind so that we are able to learn more and help each other. Let it be a reciprocatory kind of relationship. And lastly, for parents again, is let us take calculated risks. Let us let our children go out there, as Collins had said, guided freedom. Let us take those calculated risks, because businesses do that and that's how they grow. Let us do the same so that we equip our children with the right skills, we equip our children with the right mental attitude to be able to face the world. Those are my parting remarks. Collins, I want to hand over to you. You give your parting remarks and you close the show tafadhali. Collins? Collins, can you hear us? Oh, okay. I think his network is still... are you able to hear us?
So
Oh, yes.
I know as much as yes, I can hear you.
So share with us your parting shot and then you can close the show for us.
I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. The topic confusion is quite large, and what we need. Okay. So what we need to understand, all of us, is first of all, we are all confused. We need to let that sink first of all. Sisi wote tumechanganyikiwa, but some of us are more confused than others. Now, what happens is confusion is removed by mistakes. The more you the confusion. Most important thing is we need to understand, can we be able to pinpoint what is the source of our confusion? For parents, look at your children. For teachers, look at your students. For the youth, look at yourself. What is the source of their... Then you can fight the fire. But don't try and fight smoke hoping to put out the fire. It will never work at any given point in life. Also, another very important thing is understanding yourself as an individual. It will always open doors for you throughout your life. And finally, prayer. Prayer is a key thing in life. And this cuts across the religions. If you're a Christian, the Bible is your manual, and a very, very key manual. It will tell you what to do, how to do it, where to do it. No questions asked. For our Muslim brothers, we have the Quran, we have the Hindu, all those religions. They have a way of life. And if we look at all of them, they are connected in one way or on earth. We are busy looking at ourselves from the different religions, but we are not seeing that all our hands and all our eyes are looking up to the same thing. So we should take that one in mind. Lastly, I'd really like to thank you guys, the panelists, Mr. Peter, Ms. Joy, asanteni sana, our moderator, Anne. Thank you very much for the questions and the insights into the questions. And to our audience out there, we thank you for being with us throughout the 1 hour and for the sessions that we've done. We'd like to welcome you for more next weekend and the coming weekends. And if there's anything that you wish for us, you're also welcome to inbox Step Up Talks so that we can handle something that you feel is close to your heart or something that is disturbing you. We thank you and we say God bless you. Till we meet next time. Bye-bye.